Let me tell you a story that has survived for thousands of years. A story born in ancient Babylon, during the reign of the legendary Queen Semiramis. It is a tale of love, forbidden by men, misunderstood by fate, and sealed with blood. In that great city lived two young people whose beauty was spoken of throughout Babylon. Pyramus was considered the most handsome of all young men, and Thisbe the most beautiful of maidens. Their families lived in neighboring houses, separated only by a single wall. From childhood they saw one another often, and from familiarity grew affection. In time that affection became love. Their hearts were united, but their families were not. Old resentments and unspoken hatred stood between them. Marriage was forbidden, and their parents did everything in their power to keep the two apart. Yet even the strictest commands cannot extinguish love. Denied words in meetings, their feelings only grew stronger in silence. Unable to speak freely, they learned to communicate through glances and gestures. A look carried what a voice could not. And because their love had to remain hidden, it burned with even greater intensity. Between their houses stood an old wall, cracked by time and careless construction. Within it was a narrow fissure, unnoticed by everyone else. But lovers see what others overlook. Through that tiny opening, their voices could pass. Soft whispers crossed the stone, and secret words of devotion traveled back and forth. They would stand on opposite sides, close enough to hear one another breathe. Often they cursed the wall for keeping them apart, yet they also thanked it, for without it, their voices would never have met at all. Each night ended the same way, with whispered farewells and lips pressed against cold stone, as near as fate would allow. As days passed, their longing became unbearable. One morning, as the sun rose and the city awoke, they met again at their secret place and mourned their cruel destiny. It was then that they made a daring decision. That very night, while the city slept, they would escape the watchful eyes of their families and meet beyond Babylon's walls. They chose a place known to both of them, the tomb of Ninus, standing outside the city limits. Beside it grew a white mulberry tree near a quiet spring. Whoever arrived first would wait there for the other. As evening fell and darkness spread across the land, Thisbe moved first. Silently and carefully, she slipped away from her home, covered her face with a veil, and made her way through the night. She reached the tomb and sat beneath the mulberry tree, alone under the faint light of the stars. Then danger appeared. From the shadows came a lioness, her jaws still stained with blood from a recent hunt. She approached the spring to drink. Terrified, Thisbe fled at once, running toward a nearby cave. In her fear, her veil slipped from her head and fell to the ground behind her. The lioness drank from the spring and turned back toward the forest. There she found the fallen veil. With blood-stained jaws, she tore it apart before disappearing into the darkness. Not long after, Pyramus arrived. He was late, but full of hope. That hope vanished the moment he saw the lioness's tracks in the sand. His face grew pale. Then he saw the veil, torn and soaked with blood. In that instant, he believed Thisbe was dead. Overcome with grief, he cried out that he had caused her death by leading her to such a dangerous place. He cursed himself for not arriving sooner, for failing to protect the one he loved. Lifting the blood-stained veil, he covered it with kisses and tears. If her blood had been spilled, he believed, then his would follow. Drawing his sword, Pyramus plunged it into his heart. His blood flowed onto the earth, soaking the roots of the mulberry tree. The white fruit darkened, turning red as the tree absorbed the blood of a dying lover. Meanwhile, Thisbe, still shaken by fear, gathered the courage to return. She did not wish to abandon their meeting, and she longed to tell Pyramus of the danger she had escaped. As she approached the tree, the darkened fruit confused her. For a moment, she wondered if she had come to the wrong place. Then she saw him. A body lay beneath the tree, struggling in the final moments of life. She recoiled in horror, her entire body trembling. But as she drew closer, recognition struck her like a blade. It was Pyramus. She cried his name, struck her chest in grief, and threw herself upon his body. Her tears fell upon his wounds as she kissed his cold lips and begged him to answer her. At the sound of her voice, Pyramus opened his eyes once more, saw her face, and then closed them forever. Thisbe saw the torn veil and the empty sheath of the sword. At once she understood what had happened. She realized that her own actions had led to his death, and that she herself was the cause. Yet her grief did not break her resolve. If Pyramus had found the courage to die for love, she would not be left behind. She spoke aloud, asking that their parents honor their final wish, that as love and death had united them, one tomb should hold them both. And she asked the mulberry tree to forever bear the mark of their blood, as a memory of their fate. With those words, Thisbe took the sword and plunged it into her own heart. Their parents granted their plea. The gods themselves approved it. The two lovers were laid to rest in the same tomb, and from that day forward, the mulberry tree bore red fruit, a living reminder of a love that neither walls, nor families, nor death itself could destroy.